Now let's examine the equilibrium or profit maximizing position of a firm under a condition of perfect competition. In order to determine the equilibrium price and quantity in a perfectly competitive market, we need to take into consideration the cost structure of the firm reflected by the cost curves, the two profit maximizing rules, and the demand curve for the product. Recall that firms in a competitive market are price takers, implying they do not have any control over prices and cannot make any price decision, but they can only choose the quantity they want to supply. The quantity chosen, we have established that this quantity must be a profit maximizing, hence it should be where the positive difference between total revenue and total cost is at its greatest, or where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, provided that marginal cost is rising and lies above the minimum average variable cost. Remember the shutdown rule. More so, we have established that the marginal revenue of a firm in a competitive market is equal to the market price. Therefore, the profit maximizing rule for perfect competitive market becomes marginal revenue should be equal to marginal cost. Then if we substitute P for marginal revenue, since marginal revenue is equal to the price, we will have marginal cost be equal to the price as our profit maximizing rule. Remember that the marginal cost curve is U-shaped. We are only interested in the rising part of the marginal cost curve, as profits are maximized and losses minimized with the rising part of the marginal cost curve. Now let's use an example to show why profits are maximized when marginal revenue or price is equal to marginal cost. Suppose a firm produces a product and it sells it at a perfect competitive price of 10 Rand per unit. The fixed cost amounts to 5 Rand. The firm's daily output revenue and cost structures are illustrated by Table 9.2. The table shows that the firm can choose to produce up to 5 units of the product. And since the market price is 10 Rand, the maximum revenue the firm can obtain, which is price times quantity, is 50 Rand. The marginal revenue of producing one extra unit is 10 Rand, which is equal to the price for our perfect competitive market as shown in column 4. The marginal cost, that is the cost incurred by producing one extra unit of output, is illustrated in column 6. And lastly, the firm's profit, that is the total revenue minus total cost, are shown in column 7. The information in table 9.2 is shown graphically in figure 9.3. The vertical axis of figure 9.3 measures marginal revenue and marginal cost, whereas the horizontal axis measures the quantity of product produced per period. When one unit is produced, the marginal cost is 4 Rand, whilst the marginal revenue is 10 Rand. Thus, the firm adds 6 Rand to its profit by producing this one unit as shown at A. At point B, the firms produce 2 units and its marginal cost is equal to 6 Rand and the marginal revenue is equal to 10 Rand. Hence, it can add 4 Rand to its firm's profit by producing 2 units. When the firm produces 3 units, their marginal cost is equal to 8 Rand and the marginal revenue is equal to 10 Rand. Therefore, it can add 2 Rand to its firm's profit. Therefore, looking at option A, B, C, we can see that the firm can increase its profits by increasing production as shown in column 7. When the firm produces 4 units, the marginal cost is equal to 10 Rand and the marginal revenue is equal to 10 Rand. Then profits are maximized. This is shown by point D. When the firm produces 5 units, the marginal cost is 12 Rand and the marginal revenue is 10 Rand. Then the firm loses 2 Rand from its profit, hence it will be in the firm's interest to decrease production so as to increase profits at any point above point D. The outcomes in figure 9.3 illustrate our previous conclusion that when marginal cost is greater than marginal revenue, then the firm should decrease production. When marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, then the firm is operating or producing quantities that maximize profits. And when marginal cost is smaller than marginal revenue, then the firm should increase production so as to increase its profits. The three conclusions we have just made can be illustrated more clearly by adding the average cost curve to our analysis. Recall that average cost includes both average variable cost and average fixed cost. The firm's profit per unit is therefore equal to the difference between average revenue and average cost. In figure 9.4, we measure unit revenue and cost on the vertical axis and quantities exchanged on the horizontal axis. When average revenue is greater than average cost, then the firm is earning economic profit. However, if average revenue is equal to average cost, then the firm earns normal profit. Whereas if average revenue is less than average cost, the firm earns an economic loss. Let's look at these three scenarios very closely. Scenario 1 is whereby average revenue, which is the price, is greater than average cost and the firm earns an economic profit. The figure measures unit revenue and cost on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis. Profits are maximized where marginal revenue is equal to average revenue, which is equal to the price, and all of that is also equal to the marginal cost. That is at the point E1 or quantity of Q1. At quantity Q1, the firm's average revenue is greater than the average cost, where our average cost is indicated by the red average cost curve or point M. Since average revenue is greater than average cost, then the firm earns an economic profit. The economic profit of the firm is equal to the shaded rectangle P1, E1, M, C1, which is essentially P1 minus C1 multiplied by Q1. This amount of economic profit can also be calculated as total revenue minus total cost, where total revenue is equal to P1 multiplied by Q1 and total cost will be equal to C1 multiplied by Q1. Then total revenue minus total cost will be equal to the shaded area P1, C1, M, E1. Scenario 2 is whereby average revenue is equal to the price, which is equal to the marginal cost, and the firm earns a normal profit. The figures measures unit revenue and cost on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis. Profits are maximized where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, that is at the quantity of Q2. At quantity Q2, the firm's average revenue is equal to the average cost. Therefore, the firm does not earn any economic profit but a normal profit, since it has managed to cover all its costs, including normal profits. Scenario 3 is whereby average revenue, which is the price, is less than marginal cost and the firm earns an economic loss. The figure measures unit revenue and cost on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis. Profits are maximized where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, that is at quantity Q3. At Q3, the firm's average revenue is less than the firm's average cost, hence the firm earned an economic loss indicated by the shaded rectangle C3ME3P3. The economic loss can also be calculated by the formula total revenue minus total cost, where your total revenue will be equal to P3 multiplied by Q3, and your total cost will be equal to C3 multiplied by Q3. Then if we subtract the total revenue from the total cost, we will realize that we'll be left with the rectangle C3ME3P3, which indicates the total loss the firm incurs. When a firm is earning an economic loss, it is not apparent whether the firm should shut down or continue operating. This is because that decision is based on the level of the price relative to the level of average variable cost. That is, firstly, if price is greater than average variable cost, then the firm can still continue production since it's covering its variable cost. Secondly, if price is equal to average variable cost, then the firm is indifferent of whether they should close or remain in business, as their loss is the same in both options. Thirdly, if the price is smaller than average variable cost, then the firm should shut down as they cannot fully cover their variable cost, and also they will only restrict their losses to fixed cost only.